Good morning, everybody. Welcome to NinjaTrader Platforms Unleashed. My name is Jim Cagnina with NinjaTrader, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Before we go too far, let me remind everybody, trading futures, options on futures involves substantial risk of loss. Not suitable for all traders and investors. Oftentimes in futures trading, you have a high combination of leverage and volatility. Although that could be an equation for opportunity, it's also an equation for risk. So be careful, only fund your futures trading account with risk capital. My personal definition of risk capital: money I could afford to lose, doesn't change my lifestyle, lengthen my retirement horizon, or overly stress me out. As human beings, we make bad decisions when we're under stress. So be in a good spot. Remember, micro contracts can be friends. Easy on the day trade margins, you get plenty of leverage without maxing out on those day trade margins on a regular basis. We'll be taking a look at a real-time simulated live NinjaTrader trading platform today. None of this should be construed as trade or investment advice, and past performance is not indicative of future results. All right, folks, thanks for being here with me. Beautiful, I don't know if it's summer yet, but it's beautiful outside. Beautiful season we're entering into. Hopefully everyone's enjoying themselves and had a great weekend. Today, we're going to focus on the market analyzer on the NinjaTrader downloaded version platform. And we're going to go through it. We're going to build a market analyzer. We're going to talk about all the powerful stuff it does. It's much, much more than a quote board. And as we go forward, though, feel free, if you're in the chat, to ask any questions related to the market analyzer or anything else for that matter. Manning the chat is Mr. Ed Jerkin. Ed Jerkin is with us from the brokerage side of the NinjaTrader family. And he is a wonderful human being and highly knowledgeable on all things NinjaTrader. So feel free to type in questions there, and he'll type them in and type up answers and all that stuff. So having said all that, let's go ahead and get started here. All right, so here's my layout. Last week we went over building a workspace. We ended up with something similar to this, along with a trading ladder, dome, which is over here. We'll get into the details of a dome in another event, but today we're going to focus on this guy over here, the market analyzer. Looks like a quote board, right? But it does an awful lot of more stuff other than just being a quote board. And so we're going to build one of these from scratch, right? So we're going to build one of these from scratch, and we'll end up with something similar to this. And we'll go through the important features. And again, as we go, feel free to type in and ask any questions that you are interested in. So what do? Are you logged into NinjaTrader for the first time? You want to open up a market analyzer. I'm going to go to this new button up here in the upper left-hand corner of the control panel, and I'm going to click on new. And here are all the things you could do, right? These are all of your options, a lot of menu-driven, intuitive functions here on the NinjaTrader platform. I'm going to click on market analyzer, and it's going to give me a new one. And you might say, well, wait a second, there's nothing on there. It's blank. I know, it's a blank canvas. We can create whatever we want, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding some markets. I'm going to add some quotes. I'm going to right click, and you get this drop-down menu with all of these different options. First thing that strikes out at me, add instruments. All right, we're going to do that. I'm just going to move my mouse over here, and it's going to come up with a sub-menu on the right-hand side. And it remembers kind of the last group of actions that you've taken. You know, I added the YM recently. I added the micro MES. And then there's categories. It breaks it down by categories as well, depending on what instruments you're interested in. And then there's a search button at the bottom, which I use most of the time to add it. Now, our goal is to create a market analyzer like the one you see on the right. And it's a little bit of work, but once you create it, then when you close your software down, it memorizes it. You don't have to do it a second time. So that's our goal. That's our objective. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding some. We'll just add some quotes. I'll just select this first one. This is the Dow. Click on it. It adds it to the default setting, which is instruments, ask price, bid price, last price. We'll edit these columns as we go forward here. So we're not stuck with those. We could create whatever we want. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and just add some quick ones here. We'll add the NQ. I want to add the E-mini S&P, so I'm going to search. And it's kind of smart, right? You could just type the keyword in or a symbol in. I know the symbol for the E-mini S&P is ES. And I'll scroll down here. There's all sorts of other stuff that is similar from a search point of view, but I'll click on it, just double click, and it'll add it up there as well. So super, super easy. Let's add the Russell 2000 just to kind of complete the picture here. And again, same thing. We're going to go to Let's type in Russell this time. See what we get. Let's spell it right, Jim. So I started typing in Russell. It's kind of smart. It's like, all right, here's all of your options related to your search characters so far. And, we got the micro Russell here. There's even a Russell 3000. There's all sorts of stuff. But I'm going to pick the E-mini Russell 2000 index future, double click. And so now we have our 4 major categories, right? Let's add a couple more things here. Let's go ahead and add a different asset class altogether. Let's just go ahead and add, I don't know, crude oil. We'll add crude oil. Crude oil is easy to do. CL is a symbol. I'll double click there and we added crude oil. I already have one of these pre-configured, so I'm not going to do all of these markets, but I want to show you some of the basics as we go. Let's go ahead and add natural gas. So we'll go NQ for natural gas, and oops, I'm sorry, NG. I get those things mixed up all the time for nat gas, and I'm going to find it right down here. Double click. And I'm going to add it. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things added so far. Now, the yellow flashing rectangle here on the right, I'm not a fan of that, so I'm going to get rid of it. I'm just going to right-click. I'm going to go remember, right-click is your key on NinjaTrader. You right-click in Windows and pop-up boxes happen. Things start to happen for you. I'm going to click on Properties right there. I'm going to get rid of that yellow flashing. And, well, obviously, my eye is drawn to this yellow right here. But here are all the categories, general categories you could change. Row change, highlight background. I'm going to change that. I don't like it. You can make it white. You can make it transparent. We'll go ahead and just keep it white. Hit apply. And now it's just white. We'll add colors later for sure. So hang tight. Now, the other thing I want to do is I want to add a label, right? So I'm going to go up here to the YM, the Dow Jones. I'm going to right click and I'm going to add a label row. I'm going to add a label row, and I'm going to type in here stock index futures. All right, so now I have a label row. Now I want to add another label row. I'm going to right-click on crude oil, and we'll add another label row. We'll call this one energy futures. All right, so we've done that. And you can do these for all the asset classes. You can see on the right here, I got currencies, I got micros, I got energies, I got metals, I got treasuries. I got cryptos all the way down the line. And that's kind of how I separate them. So I kind of understand better, what I'm looking at. It's easy for my eyes to go, boom, I want to see what the energy complexes are doing. I want to see what the currency complexes are doing. So let's go ahead and format this a little bit more, right? I don't like it centered like that or all white like that. So I'm going to right click again. I'm going to go to properties. And then I'm going to left justify. Let's see if I could do this. You know what? Hang on a second, folks. Let me move this over here on the right so we can see it better. Go to properties. So I could show these things side by side. Here's what I'm editing. Here are the properties. And instead of label row text alignment center, we're going to make it left. Make it left. Hit apply. You'll see it shoot over there to the left. Now, the other thing you could do is you could change colors, right? Colors are kind of important to me. It helps my eye, draws my eye to the right place, right? So if I go to label row background right now, label row background is transparent. Let's say I wanted to change it to sky blue. Seems a reasonable color, sky blue. I'm going to go ahead and apply. And it changes it to sky blue. So that helps me see it. Now, you can get really fancy and you could even, that's background. Remember, background is the background. Foreground usually means the text, right? So label row foreground. If I wanted to change that to, I don't know, white, I'm not, it's not going to look good, but that's what I'm going to just show you how to do. It's just really simple. I just changed it to white. You might like it. You might not like it. We'll change it back. We'll keep it at black. All right. So this is kind of like, this is the basics of actually creating a list, right, of markets or contracts that you're tracking. You're interested in, and you can customize this. Now, a couple other tricks here before we go to the next point is you could just grab one of these stock index futures, move them up to change the position on where it's at in the in the analyzer, right? Let's say you want NQ to be second, NASDAQ to be second. You just grab it, move it up, and it changes it. So it's really easy to do that. Now, at the bottom, too, there's another tab. You can create a second instance of the market analyzer in another tab if you wish, or you could just have it in a different window like I do right now. So, for instance, maybe you want to make a whole market analyzer for micros. You can call that the micro analyzer. And over here are the classic size contracts. So it's just kind of up to you on how you want to do that. So I've already done all of this work for all the asset classes on another market analyzer just before we started here. And so we could work on this. We could work on this and create the actual columns that we want, the colors that we want, and all the triggers and all that other stuff that we want. And so I have, just to kind of go over it, stock index futures at the top. I have micro stock index futures next. I have energy futures next, currency futures, interest rate futures, metals, cryptos down here, cryptocurrencies, and then grain futures at the bottom. So these are all pretty much the main asset classes that most of us trade, or most of us at least look at. So I have it all built out for you. So we don't have to kind of toggle back. You don't have to wait for me to start one from scratch completely. Now I have 3 columns up here: ask price, bid price, last price. I'm gonna edit these, right? I'm just gonna, again, right click, gives me a drop down menu, and I'm gonna find columns, right? Columns is right here. I'm gonna click on columns, and it's gonna give me columns I could add. Already configured, as we talked about, the instrument, which is the name, right? The ask price, the bid price, and the last price. So here's all the stuff up here under available that you could add to configured. And all you need to do to add something is just pick it, right? You just pick it, whatever it is, whatever one of these things you're interested in, and then you could add it to the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and pick just net change. We'll just go ahead and do that. Net change. You could either double click net change, or you could highlight and go down and hit add. And you saw what happened there, right? It kind of added the net change instance to the configured section, right? And then once you have net change highlighted again in the configured section, now you could edit it, right? You could say, well, I want to see net change on a percent basis. I want to see it on a points basis. I want to see it on a ticks basis. I'm going to choose points. That's what I like. I'm going to choose points, and it's going to add a net change column to the market analyzer. And let's just go ahead and take a peek at that. Hit OK. And there's my net change column right there on the far right. Now you could move these around as well and kind of drag them over to different areas if you'd like. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more columns before I start, moving stuff around. And ask price and bid price are examples of things I'm not interested in, right? We have a trading ladder for that. I want to put a lot more information here in the market analyzer. So we're going to go ahead and just highlight ask price and remove, highlight bid price and remove. And so we've done that successfully. And then before I hit apply and OK, I want to see daily volume. I'll click on that. I'll double click on daily volume. I'm going to hit apply and OK. So now I have last price. And again, this is how I like to configure it. You guys might have a different way you'd like to configure it, which is fine. I have net change. I have daily volume. Now, you could also add a net change in percent. You could have 2 instances of net change if you wanted to. The actual number of points. Let's do it. Let's just do it. I'm going to go ahead and go to columns here. Let's go to another instance of net change. I'm going to look for it again, double click. And there you see it twice in the configured columns, right? You see it twice. And so I'm going to keep it at percent. We'll hit apply and OK. So now I have a couple of net changes, right? And then, I could change the name of net change too. We'll leave it the way it is for now. And net change points, percent. So again, it's kind of what your preference is. I know Tom Schneider likes percents. I like the pure number right there as well. So let's go ahead and add some more stuff. I'm going to go to columns. Now I'm going to take off that net change too. And what I'm going to do, we could do stuff like, unrealized profit and loss. So if you're in a position, you could see what your open position P&L is. We could do closed P&L, total profit and loss. We could add those columns there to the market analyzer. Let's hit that. Let's hit apply and OK. So now I have 2 more columns here, unrealized P&L and then profit and loss P&L. And these will move around in real time as you're placing trades. You'll see whatever markets you're in, it will pick it up in this unrealized P&L and then on the final P&L. All right, let's go back. Let's focus on this net change number. Let's kind of make it a little bit more colorful. So I'm going to right click again, and I'm going to go to that column again, and I'm going to hit net change. Now, this is maybe a little unintuitive, but once I show you how to do it, you're going to be like, oh, cool, that's easy, right? So there's a thing on the property section here. I've highlighted net change. There's in the properties area right here, I have this thing called conditions, right? Conditions. So I see cell there. All right, let's make some cell conditions. I'm going to click on that. And you get this blank dialog box again, but there's a little add button. It's like, hey, there's an add button here. Click on me. What happens? I'm going to click on this, and it gives me some properties that I could change. So as an example, I could have a trigger that says condition greater than or equal to value 0. And my background, I'm going to keep the same. Well, I could change the background color, right? I could say, you know what? If the market, if we're up, I want it to be green, right? I want the background to be green. And I could add a second one. If we're less than, here's the second one. If we're less, second condition, if we're less than 0, then I want the background to be, I don't know, we can call it pink, maybe something a little darker so we could see it a little bit better. We'll call it tomato. There's a color called tomato. All right, I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit apply, and we will go to the OK. So this, again, it gives you these net changes will fill in a second, guys. So again, it's, I have pink on the right-hand side. I have tomato on the left-hand side, but it shows you net change is positive. Net change is negative. So it gives you that, again, that visual kind of peak. Right. Now, if you wanted just to make the numbers different colors instead of the labels different colors, you could do that also. Total personal preference here. So let's go ahead and try that. I'm going to go right click. We'll go to columns, and we'll go back to net change. And we're going to go to conditions. And so we're going to change, instead of the background colors, we could do the text colors. So it's, again, color for foreground, right? Color for foreground. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these two. Let's add it again. Hit the add button. If the condition's got to be, greater than or equal to, and then the color for the foreground. Remember, foreground means the actual. We're not doing tomato. We'll do crimson. We'll change it to crimson. I'm going to add it for. Oopsie, I made a mistake there, right? Greater than or equal. I want that green. I want that green. The second condition that I just added here, I want to make that red. And that condition is going to be less than, right? Less. And I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit apply. And I hit OK. All right, so now the columns, the actual background of each cell associated with the net change is back to white, but the actual number itself, the NASDAQ is up 111, 112 and a half, and you can see it kind of move around in real time as trades happen. Now I have that a different way to color code it. So again, it's personal preference, how you would like to see it. These columns are easily, you could kind of move them around a little bit, and it's really, really easy to kind of manipulate the look and feel of this, of the market analyzer. So let's go ahead and add another column. Let's add some indicators to this thing. Let's up our game a little bit. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to click on columns. And I'm going to go to this available area here. There's all sorts of available stuff here, and I encourage everybody to experiment with it, right? We'll go to indicators. I'm just going to double click on indicators. It brings it back down to the configured section. And there's a default setup. It's the first one on the list. I'm going to change it on the right-hand side. Under indicator, there's a drop-down menu there. And I'm going to find, another one. And it could be anything, right? It could be a simple moving average. It could be an exponential moving average. It could be pretty much just about any indicator that you want to add to it. You certainly could do it. I'm going to add the commodity channel index, and I'm going to go ahead and click on that. So I'm going to add CCI. Now I got a little bit of work to do because I like a 20 period on my CCI. And input series is good. Based on price is good. Minute is good. But value, that's a 1 minute. No, I want a 10 minute because that's what my chart is, 10 minutes. I'm going to add that as well. Days to look back 0 because it's going to be intra-day. And then calculate on each tick. Okay, so I changed 3 things. Well, if you include this period also. And that's going to hit apply. I'm going to hit apply, and it's going to be doing its thing. And okay. and I added that CCI right here. Added that CCI right there. So, and just to kind of confirm that it's accurate, you could look at the YM, the MYM 26.2, it's moving around in real time. So it's gonna be moving quickly. So I'm sorry, YM is up here. What am I talking about? 26.65, 26.65, right on point, and it moves along with that. Now that's just what the CCI is doing, right? And I like to track CCI, the Commodity Channel Index, to kind of look for momentum, look for directional changes and things like that. Now let's say, if the CCI though is bigger than a certain number, I'd like that to be color coded, right? So let's go ahead and right click again, columns. I'm going to find the CCI that I configured, and I'm going to go ahead and there's the conditions again. Fancy seeing that there at the bottom of the properties tab. I'm going to click on it, and I can do it again. I'm going to add a condition, right? It says change if sell value equals 0. So I'm going to look at the property side of things, and you know what? I want to change the background. I'm going to change the background. I don't know. Let's change it to crimson, right? If the CCI is less than or equal to minus 150. Okay, that's kind of condition 1. If it's less than, let's add another condition. Let's say if the CCI is greater than, or equal to, cross is above, cross above, positive 150. Then I want it to be green background, or medium C green background. I hit OK. I'm going to hit apply, and we'll let that thing kind of percolate, and hit OK. Right, and so now I have another visual clue. Really, the only ones that are in that state right now are all the way down here, are Nano Bitcoin and Nano Ether, all the way down here. So you see, we're less than that 150, and so it's red. If we were positive 150 or more, it would be green, right? Now you could even say, well, wait a second. I would like this if it's minus 100. I would like it to be even a different color, and you could do the same thing, right? You can go to your columns. You can go to that CCI again, and you could add a third condition, right, to make that case, right? So you could add as many of these conditions as you like. I'm not crazy about the black background there, but the foreground color, the text color, probably would change that to white. Just hit OK. We should be able to see it better. So you could do that trick, that type of customization for a moving average as an example. VWAP, volume weighted average price, is an example, or just about any type of indicator that you could add to the chart, you could add to the market analyzer and create that kind of visual clue, if you will. One of the things I did want to show off a little bit, I'm going to move my market analyzer out of the way. I'm going to move it out of the way for a second. And then I'm just going to create a random position, right? I'm just going to create a random position, and we'll create it at, well, since we're at the Dow right now, we're just going to we'll create it in the Dow, right? I'll get short right now in the Dow real quickly. Bear with me. And what we should see happening here, if I have everything set up right, you will see these unrealized profit and loss start to move. So we'll kind of wait to see what happens there for a couple of ticks, and we'll keep moving on to some of the other ideas here. There's an alerts function as well on the market analyzer, and that's also pretty handy, right? Let's say, for instance, you would like an alert if, I don't know, the E-mini S&P price crossed above 43.20 is an example. Right click, and then we're going to go to alerts. We're going to open up the alert box. And we have one configured already. I'm going to remove it. Sorry about that. And I'm going to add a new one. A new alert. Here it is. Then here are some of the here's some of the boxes they have to deal with, right? I'm going to leave the name as alert. I'm going to apply it to all. Rearm never. In other words, once it hit once, that's all we really want. Now under conditions, I want to hit add. And I want to look at. I could look at any one of these: last price, net change, daily volume, unrealized P&L, profit and loss. Any of these conditions that you could add. So I want to look at. I'm going to keep last price, and I'm going to say cross is above, and then that's the center part. On the right hand side, then I want to go numeric value, right? Numeric value. And I'm going to change the property's value right here to, what did we say before? We said 4230.00, right? We cross above. The idea is we cross above. Then I'm going to get an alert. So I'm going to hit OK. And now I'm not done yet. This messages part is OK. Actions, though, I want an action, right? I'm going to click on actions. And I want it to show me a pop-up dialog box. Sounds are OK. But I want to see a pop-up box. I want to see a box pop up on my screen when this condition is met. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to hit apply and OK again. So now I have an alert set up. The E-mini S&P breaks over 32. I think I did that right. 32.20. Then an alert is going to come up. Let's double check to make sure I have that alert set right. And actually, we'll make it a little bit tighter. So maybe we can get that actual alert to happen while we're going live. Alert. There's the alert. Oh, I had 4230. I knew I made a mistake. That's okay, though. We could change it. We could change it really easily. We're going to change it to 4305. So we have it. Oopsie. Sorry. 4305.00. And I'm going to hit OK. Apply. And OK. I was only off by 100. All right, so now if during the course of our time here together today, if we see any difference, if we see that he has cross up, we'll get this little alert that pops up on the screen that kind of reminds me where we're going here. Okay, so what else are we missing here? We have daily volume, we have P&L, we have net change chart. All right, so here's another really cool thing that I think a lot of people might like. I love this. Again, I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to columns, and I'm going to go to chart next change. Double click on it. I could change some colors if I want, but I'm going to keep the colors where they're at. Apply. And OK. And it gives you like this, I don't know what you want to call this. It just is like a mini chart on the session. I'm going to drag it way over to the left just to get a better idea of it. And it just kind of shows you, NQ is down most of the night. And then we rallied on the open. And you could kind of see how it changes over time just graphically. Some people like it. Some people don't like it. I particularly think it's pretty good, to be honest with you. So I'm going to keep it there. And by the way, if there's anything you want me to go over again, if I went too fast, just go ahead, type it into the chat. And I'd be happy to, do that for you. And then the other thing I do want to mention right now before I forget is when you're happy with your layout, and you're done for the day, you don't want to use the software anymore, you're done working, don't close this box. Don't close the market analyzer. Like we talked about last week, you want to close this control panel. By closing the control panel, it will close all of your windows, memorize all of your data, and the positions on where you had your windows. That's really key. I don't know, it would be really frustrating for me to close this right now and I lost all of this work, right? So don't do that. So always go up to that top control panel and close out of there as well. All right. So now the only thing I'm a little bit frustrated about is my unrealized profit here did not kick in. I want to find out why. So I do have a position on, I think. I do. Let's go ahead and write. Let's go to columns here. And let's go to unrealized profit and loss. So label unrealized profit and loss. Oh, I have the wrong account. Okay. So this is important. So I have 3 accounts you can see on the upper left here. I have CAGS, a CAGZ SIM account 1, I don't know how, and then NinjaTrader master account. So I'm going to go ahead and just drop down that menu, and I'm going to change it to CAGS SIM. That's where I place the trade, SIM CAGS SIMI. And I could change some of this stuff as well. Remember visuals, I could change. I could add conditions here as well. but we're conditions would be, when your P&L crosses above positive 100, color code it. I'm not that sophisticated. We'll hit apply, we'll hit OK. And so now we have that unrealized P&L right there in the Dow. And you can imagine how handy this is if you have several different, you have screens everywhere, you have trading ladders everywhere, and you have several different positions in several different markets. You can kind of keep track of what's going on right there. So just to recap, you're going to get a blank market analyzer screen when you first open it up. You can have as few of these or as many of these as you want. And then you're going to right click. And when you right click in the body of the market analyzer, it gives you all of these terrific options, right? Blank row. You can add a blank row if you want. We haven't done that, but you could add a blank row. So for instance, let's say you wanted separation here. We just go add blank row. Now I have a little separation. It might make it easier for me to see the different asset classes like that. So from a formatting point of view, that's pretty intuitive. Right click again. Alerts we covered, and alerts could be sophisticated. You could make them very sophisticated, especially when you get to volume weighted average price, and when you get to crossovers as well. So keep that in mind as well. And then I would recommend you experiment with that as much as you can. And then on the column side, the other thing that's kind of important here is all of these other things that you could add, right? Just to give you this extra kind of visual clue on what's going on with all of these different markets. And you could even do stuff like, hey, if daily volume exceeds a million in the E-mini S&P, send me an alert or color code something, right? So these kind of things could really help if you want to see, hey, where's the high volume going? Where are the big movers and all of that stuff. So again, there's a lot of this stuff here applies to futures trading. Some of them doesn't. Some of it applies to the equity world. So no matter how you're using the NinjaTrader software, there's all sorts of these different types of options that you could, like, for instance, market cap. That would be an equity world thing, right? It wouldn't be a futures thing. That's not a futures measure. It's not a futures matrix. So last close, last price, all good stuff to add. And then keep in mind, when you click on indicator, then you literally will have a whole laundry list of things you could add. So it's like a level within a level. Donkey and channel, you want to add that. An EMA, you want to add that. It's really easy to do. Again, we'll do one more. We'll do EMA. Just click on it. I don't know, 14 period. Just make sure that the value here is what you want, right? This is a 1 minute chart right now, and I make it a 10 minute. You don't have to make it a 1 minute. You could make it a 10 minute. You can make it a 5 minute. You can make it whatever you want. Days looking back 0 since I'm day trading. Let's go ahead and go on each tick, and hit apply and OK. And I didn't color code this one since we are up against the clock. And so there you go. There you have, whoopsie. Let me open this up a little bit bigger here. So even conceivably, if you have a multi-monitor setup, I do, but I'm only showing one of my screens. You could certainly have a market analyzer with so much information that it's covering all of your screens with alerts set up, right? With different alerts set up, hey, if the EMA, goes over a certain number, crosses over a certain number, I want that highlighted. I want alerts coming out at me, all of that stuff. Really super easy to do. All right. Well, I think we covered a lot of ground here on this market analyzer and how to use it. I would encourage everybody to kind of get into it, get the software. And once you have the software, you could go ahead and experiment with, and I would experiment in sim mode, right? Experiment in sim mode and get it set up how you want it. And there you have it. One last thing, though, I do want to show you is kind of a linking mechanism that we have here. And let's do that real quickly. Real quickly. Let's up this up here. All right, so you see there's a little tiny rectangle in the upper right corner of the analyzer. And it says instrument link. I hover my mouse over it, it says instrument link. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. Let's see what happens. And it gives me some colors. All right, so I'm going to choose a color here. We'll choose orange. Right, I'll hit the orange button. So now that little square turns into from a gray square to an orange square. Now I'm going to do the same thing on my chart. It's already orange. I already have it on orange. So now on my chart, if I want to change this from a Dow Jones future chart to a E-mini S&P chart, then I'm just going to go to my market analyzer. I'm going to click on ES. And now these two things are linked. So now now it's an ES chart, right? If I want to change it to crude, click on CL, and then now I have a CL chart. So it's a really handy way to toggle between charts. It's particularly if you don't have a ton of real estate on your monitors to show a whole bunch of different charts. That's one good way to do it. FYI. Gallo it is off topic. We're going to dive into, I do believe the dome is not next. I think the charts are next. The next kind of component we're going to look into in this series of live shows we're doing. We'll get to the dome as well. This is the NinjaTrader Super Dome for sure. Gallo's question is, hey, when I want to put a stop market in, I have to use the middle mouse roller to do it and hit a check. That's true. We'll cover some strategies and getting around that at the next session. But thank you for that, Gallo. Appreciate you being here for sure. Any last second questions, let me know. I think we're going to wrap it up. I think we did enough to be dangerous right here. I think we covered all the major categories and how they work it. One last thing I do want to show, actually, I keep saying one last thing I want to show you, but there's just so much stuff here that I don't want to forget as well. Remember, in the conditions, when you go to I don't know, let's go to the EMA 14 as an example, and I go to sell conditions, keep in mind here, there's more conditions that you could choose from, right? Cross above, cross below, equals, greater than, greater equal, less, less equal, not equal. So there's other types of conditions here that you could certainly add other than the ones I just threw out there today. And I have it applied to all, right? We don't have to apply it to all. We could say, you know what? I only want to apply it to an E-mini S&P. I don't want to apply it to all. So you just select the contract that you're interested in, hit OK. So it went from all to the symbol, ES, June 23, hit OK, hit apply. And now it's only applied to that one, right, as an example. So it doesn't hurt me anyway to apply it to all. And so that's how I handle it. All right, folks, appreciate everybody being here today. We do have some other stuff going on this week, by the way. We do have Patrick Mullen from Gorilla Futures at Traders Workshop with Tom Schneider tomorrow at tomorrow. What time tomorrow? Tomorrow at 12 noon. And then on Wednesday, see the futures with Jimmy Iorio is tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning. So that should be pretty interesting. So we got a lot of work to do. Hopefully we'll see you at bars closing. In the meantime, remember, a lot of leverage, a lot of volatility, easy on the day trade margins, risk capital only, and trading on a real-time simulated live NinjaTrader trading platform today. Take it easy on the day trade margins again. And none of this should be construed as trade or investment advice. Last most important message of the day, folks, please be safe out there. Be good to each other. Thanks for coming.